Everyone, in this video we will see how to do clash detection. So to do that, we'll go to Home and click on Clash Detector, and when window opens, we know that there is currently no clash. Tests are defined, so that's okay. We can expand this so we can see both the windows. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to add a test first. So click on this Add Test. You can name it, let's say we want to detect clashes between HVAC and structure. Okay, enter. Now, once you have created a test, what you need to do is you need to select elements. So there is a selection A and there is a selection B. So there are two windows. Under each window, you can define certain rules. So for instance, in selection A, we will be selecting one of the models. So let's say in selection A, we want to select MEP and we can expand it. We can go to different levels. So let's go to first floor, expand it, and let's select duct fittings, press Ctrl, ducts, mechanical equipment, and air terminals. Let's go to second floor, press Ctrl and select air terminals, duct fittings, ducts, and mechanical equipment. So we only need two floors. So we have selected all HVAC components in our MEP model in one of the windows. So we want to detect clashes between this window, these elements, versus, let's go to selection B and go to structure model, expand it, go to first floor, structural column, structural framing, go to second floor, structural column, structural framing, go to roof, and structural framing. So let's select all columns and beams on first floor, columns and beams on second floor, and beams at the roof level. So what we did is we selected HVAC components and structural components that we'll be looking at. So you can select whatever elements that you want in that particular test under these two windows. Now let's come down here and let's look at these options. So one of this is surfaces. So when you want to clash or test clashes between the surfaces, you can also do a clash for line geometry and for points. You can also select if you want the current selection or if you want to select at the scene. Mostly we'll be using surfaces. Now let's look at some settings. So the type of clash we want is hard clash. You can also choose clearance and duplicates. So you can find out using clearance, you have to define the tolerance. You can also find out duplicates, but we'll be doing hard clash detection. You can have a link in timeliner. So you want to link any of these, you can do that. But let's keep everything default. So the tolerance is 0.001 meter, which is actually 1 mm. So that's okay. Let's run this test using these default settings. So click on Run Test, and what it shows over here is it found 9 clashes, and these are those 9 clashes right here. So you can go on each one and check them where those clashes are. Okay. Now, one of the things that I want to highlight is there is a little arrow here that shows display settings, and you can expand this. Now under these display settings, you have some important items here. One is highlighting. So there's a particular color given to each item, which is HVAC and structure. So HVAC is given this red color and the structural component is given this green color. You can choose to gray them out if you want, but it's usually helps to have a color so you can differentiate. There's also an option for dim or isolation, so you can dim them. So dim other means it's going to dim the view. You can hide other, so you can see that the other elements are shown here. You can hide them so they will be gone. There is a transparent dimming. So right now the dimming is transparent. Okay, you can uncheck it and it will be gone. There's also something important here, that's for viewpoint. So you can animate your transition. So if I check this and if I go from clash 1 to clash 2, it's going to animate. So if I uncheck this, right now if I go like this, it's going to go through those frames with an abrupt transition. But if I check animate transition, it's going to animate that. So that's the only difference. So whatever you want to prefer, you can do that. So these options are just for display, these settings. So you can change these visual settings. Now under results, at the top, there are some options. So for instance, for each of these clash, you can add a comment. So click on add comment and this window will appear. Bring it here. And you can add a comment over here that clash needs to be resolved by MEP consultant, something like that. You can also choose a status. If it is a new clash, it's an active clash, it's approved or resolved. So it's a new one, so click OK. And as you can see, it appears that comment that comment has been made here for this particular clash. You can go to the next one, add a comment again. Okay, and that will appear here. So you can add comments to each of the clashes. You can also assign this. So for instance, if you want to assign this to somebody, so assign to let's say John Doe. Note, please verify the height offset, something like that. So you can assign it to anybody that you want. Click OK. So it has been assigned here. So you can add comments, you can assign that particular clash to anybody so that it can be resolved by that person. You can also group them. So for instance, what happens is, if I look at these different clashes, this particular piece of duct, if it is continued, for instance, it may be clashing with multiple elements or multiple structural elements. So sometimes, you can keep on going one by one and resolving them, but sometimes you can group them. So for instance, if I move this particular piece of duct up, it's going to resolve multiple clashes if it is clashing with multiple structural components. Let me open this items window which is collapsed. So if you look at the bottom, there's the items window, click on it, and basically what it does, it walks you through different elements. So if you look at here, clash 1 is between this particular duct and this particular beam in the building structure. So it shows you that. But also I can group clashes. As I said earlier, I can group clashes if there is any group. So I can click on one clash and I can say group clashes involving this item together. So if I click on that, it's just one clash. So it's going to create that particular group. But this group is important because sometimes what happens is you may have multiple clashes that belong to just one element. And when you group them, when you resolve that particular clash, it's going to resolve all those clashes together. You can go to the next one and click on it and you can create a group. And again, these are the same groups. So you see here, when I clicked on this clash 5 and I try to group it, so there are 2 clashes that belong to this particular element here. So if I move this element up, it's going to resolve 2 clashes, one for the column and one for the beam. So you can group these clashes so that it's easy to resolve them. I can come here and say group, and there's only one clash, group and one clash. Let's see here, group, one clash. Because this is a simpler building model, I may not have multiple clashes that are grouped. But yeah, you can create these groups, and then you can resolve that group. So for instance, in this case, when I resolve this particular group, it's going to resolve both. So grouping always helps. Now let's see how to resolve these. So let's click on that group. Okay, so let's resolve this clash. So what we need to do, we need to move this duct up. Okay, so before we do that, let's go ahead and check our options. What we need to do, because we'll be using switchback function, we'll be opening Revit file and rewriting our NWC. It's very important that we go under model, click on performance and check this option, close NWC NWD files on load. So what it does, it enables you to write the original NWC file when you change this particular element. So click OK and let's save this. Let's close it and reopen it so that we can apply those settings. So once that is done, what we need to do is we need to first make a decision. So in this case, what we want is we want to raise this particular round duct so it doesn't clash with this column and this beam. So we want to modify this round duct, which is shown in item 1 window. You see here, and this concrete beam and the structure is shown in item 2. So there are some functions that we can use. The function that we'll be using is switchback. So if you want to change the duct, you click on this switchback. What it does is going to open a Revit project, which is MEP, where this round duct belongs or this round duct exists. So you can open that and you can change it. So click on this switchback. So right now it's saying it's unable, and the reason it's saying because I had to go in Revit and do some settings. So let's close this and let's bring in our Revit window here and let's open any project. So I'm just opening example file project. So once Revit opens, the setting that I need to do is go to add-in, go to external tools and just click on once on Navis Switchback 2017. Just click on it, and once you click it, save this and close this file. Once you do that, let's go back to Navisworks and now click on Switchback. So now once you do that, what it's going to do is going to open that particular project in Revit. So it has opened that project and it's going to go to that window where you can see that round duct. Now you cannot see here. So you have to go to your floor plan view to check that. So that duct was on the second floor, I guess. Yeah, it's right here. So when you go to that particular floor, it has already selected the duct for you. So all you have to do is just change its level. So let's say I want to raise it a little bit higher. Let's say 14 feet. And let's apply it. So, I know that we cannot do that, but just for the purpose of this, let's delete that element and let's raise it to 14 feet. Okay, but ideally what we'll be doing is we'll be actually reassigning those connections. But for the purpose of this explanation, I'm just deleting those connections, those elements. So once that is done, what you need to do is now you need to export it. So go to add-in and let's go to 3D view first. So everything is exported. Okay, let's go to export or add-in 2017 and let's change the original file. Save, say yes. Once it is done, let's go to Navisworks over here and let's refresh. Once you refresh, let's rerun the test. And when you rerun, you see that there is one which has been resolved here. Okay, so that one group has been resolved. So that group has disappeared. So you can go and repeat this. So I can go on, click on this one, the first one, and I can click on Navisworks Switchback. It's gonna go to the same project. Okay, and I go to the first floor, and this piece of duct is creating problem. So I can go and try to increase its height to, let's say, 13 feet. Okay, and let's export it to Navisworks. Say yes, and what it does is it changes that particular elevation of that, or the level of this duct. Refresh it, and you see that it's come up. When you rerun the test, the 5 which are resolved now. So you can go one by one and keep resolving them using the switchback function. What is the benefit of switchback is it takes you to the model and to that element. It highlights that element that is creating that particular clash. So once you resolve these clashes, what you need to do is to create a report. So click on this report tab and you can select what content you want. Okay, so let's keep it default, and you can write a report here. But before you do that, you can select the report type, current test, okay, all tests combined or all tests separate. So right now we want to do this test. We can also select a format, let's say XML or HTML or text file. So let's create an HTML report. Click on write report, and it's going to ask you where you want to save it, and let's save this report, and it has saved that report. You can come back to results, and let's go back and open that report. So it's right here. When you click on it, it's going to open in your browser, in your internet browser, and you can see here that these are the clashes, okay, and how many of them are resolved. So all those clashes are mentioned here. Okay, these what type, what are the tolerances, what are those parameters that we use for clashes are mentioned here. And it also says by the status. So there are some clashes which are still active, haven't been resolved, but there are some which are resolved. So the status says resolved, and it also shows here that how many are active. There are total 8 clashes, 3 are still active, 5 are resolved. You can go back to Navisworks model. So this is how you create a test, select those elements, run a test, and visualize it using highlighting and isolation and viewpoint. And using switchback, you can resolve those by switching back and forth between Revit and Navisworks. Thanks for watching.